The first speaker of the block is Dr. Claudia Wild, Senior Expert at HTA Austria. Her presentation is titled Public Contributions to the Research and Development of ATMPs. Dr. Wild will discuss transparency in public and philanthropic contributions to pharmaceutical research and development. Dr. Wild, we are eager to hear your presentation.
I like the notion radical transparency, and I invite you now to come with me to radical transparency. I start with my own conflict of interest, but this is not so much in conflict of interest because I'm not paid anymore. I'm pensioner. I retired. I used to be for 20 years the head of the Austrian Institution for HTA. Now I'm working in transparency international more on the side of corruption research, which is not the topic today. But my lifelong motive is transparency on how public resources are being used. And I think it's the right of the public, it's the right of us taxpayers to know how we use our resources. So for the two-thirds of my career, I was spending my time on assessing which of the many things that are put on the market in the healthcare system are effective. For the last part of my career, we were more and more effectiveness was substituted by affordability. So things come to the market, you don't know anything at the point of approval, like gene therapies. So you need to set up agreements, managed entry agreements. And this put a lot of effort that changed the whole world of HTA very much. But to come back on transparency is what is the rationale for those prices? Nobody knows. We hear all the time, we hear in the media, it's the R&D, but there is no proof for this. So this is what I will be talking about. But since Austria, or I am not the only one who would like to have a little bit more transparency on the pricing, on the price setting of ATMPs, I would like to point you to a certain element in the new pharmaceutical legislation, which is for some of us very obvious, for others it's hidden. It's in the directive, Article 57, that says that from now on, the companies that bring their products to the approval agency have to declare the public financial support they have received, irrespective of the legal entity, meaning that it's not depending whether this public contribution have been taken in the US or in Europe. And this will change quite a bit. I hope so, at least. So we in my institution, at that time I was still active, have spent EC money of an EC project called HyPre to develop an instrument, to develop methodology on finding those public contributions, because all of us think it's only research, but it is not only research, it's far more than that. And we have just now seen a perfect example how it works. Mr. Kubal, I don't see you anymore, but he gave us a good example. It starts in academic research. Then a patent is launched, and a spin-out is being founded by mostly the main investigator of the basic research. Then along each academic institution where such research is being done, patent scouts of the pharmaceutical industry are sitting, and don't know exactly what is being researched on, and they jump in to purchase or to license things as soon as there is the first proof of concept, but not the proof of concept, the first proof of effectiveness. This is most of the time after phase 1 or phase 2 study. Then they come in and start to buy things. And then they do the last part of the business, which is the phase 3 trial or the pivotal trial, and bring it into market authorizations. Thereafter, there are 2 steps. As I said, on the broad, the common pharmaceuticals, there are the seeding trials, the marketing trials, in order to convince the physicians to use the products. And or on the other side are the managed entry agreements or the registries, the patient registries that have to be set up because one does not know anything about the durability of gene therapies or whether they work out as they're supposed to be. Now, with this, we fit along those 8 stages of drug development. We were searching for sources and elements because we anticipate that nobody will ever declare anything if there is not a controlling organ to look what is being declared or whether there is something being declared. That's why our intention was to bring some ideas what we talk about, and you can see these ideas. I will not read all of them, but of course it's the research funding in the beginning, but then thereafter the IMI or the IHI is investing incredible amounts of money for so-called pre-competitive research that is making sense of big data, making sense of using AI, setting up clinical trial centers, methods that are very usable to put there to make their products on. Thereafter, as soon as the research is being moved into a startup, this is a very opaque area. All nationalities invest incredible amounts of money in innovation. We all have in our countries clusters, biotech clusters, and we all want to have the new startups that are promising to move exactly to my biotech cluster. So a lot of money is being spent for localization of companies, of small companies, and to get those startups going. So this is something very, very difficult to do research on. Later on, it's easier. The clinical research, the clinical development, we find all this in clinical trial registries. And thereafter, the regulation and 10% of the EMA is being put into development of methodologies again. So this is a lot. And as I said already, the evidence generation after the approval, because we don't know so much about the approved ATMPs. So what we did is within this AU project, we developed the guidance for creating facts, evidence, because there is this notion the public pays twice. First, we pay for the research, and then thereafter we purchase the products that we have been already partially paid for. This is a notion. This is what sometimes is called ideology, but it is not ideology. There are facts out there, and that's what we want to do and what we did already. So since 1.5 years in Austria, we have a drug appraisal board, not for all kinds of drugs, but for the expensive ones, for the ATMPs. And we have been applying this instrument of searching for public contributions now for around 12 products. All of those between 2 million and 4 million, so not nothing. And if you look at the picture behind me, you shouldn't be colorblind at this moment because you see green and blue. Blue stands for public contributions and green stands for private contribution. And there's always a mixture because drug development or therapy development is a complementary activity. It is not an either or. And I would like to point out the one on the left-hand side, Casgevy, that was approved only a year ago or half a year ago, is marketing for 1.99 million euros per shot per gene therapy. That was purchased. No, it was not purchased. It was exclusively licensed by a specific company for 2 times milestone payments for 50 million. So they paid 100 million, and now we purchased it for 2 million per piece. You can calculate how much, how soon. But it's always the same pattern. It's exactly the same pattern, that it's a complementary activity and that the public pays a lot for this. And behind these pictures, you can, if you want to have more facts, you can go to the reports and you find the numbers and the sources. We applied exactly the same methodology to doing research on 2 European pharma companies. This one is Novartis. So we looked at all compounds that have been approved between 2014 and 2024, not only not ATMPs, very many oncological drugs. And 64% of those products have been acquired, and only a few less, the 36%, this is the green ones below, are the ones that were developed in-house. So it's always the same pattern, no matter from which side you approach. Now, we are in the section of solutions. And I propose some solutions, and it's not time for this slide yet, but after I've talked about the solutions, you are supposed, or I ask you to vote which of those solutions you would prioritize. Of course, no, please, one back, because people have to look at the. So, first of all is the uniform reporting of public contributions, and we have uniform reporting in the Cordis database, fine, but we don't have a uniform reporting of anything else on public contributions, like innovation funds in Dutch, in the Netherlands, or in Bulgaria, or whatever. It's nearly impossible to do research on. Then we need to have far better insight into the transfer of the results, like merging and acquisition activities. We need to develop, and this is something I ask the European Commission to listen to carefully, to contractual options for publicly funded R&Ds, like a fair price clause. This needs to be defined, but non-exclusive licensing is a very realistic option, I would say. Or sharing, or repaying the public funds, etc., etc. Then industry must report, is required to report their costs, not only the costs of the public contributions, but their own. Then we need, of course, a control system. Nobody is prepared at EMA to control what companies are delivering, and I anticipate nobody will deliver anything. We need learning communities, how this knowledge is being used in negotiations. And then that's what you are. We need really to revitalize the public infrastructure to do it our own way. Okay, now I would ask for the Slido question and ask you to give me your preferences for the policy options. And maybe we can use them for the discussion thereafter. Only one vote? Okay. Okay, transparency. So I close nearly with radical transparency, but I would like really to close to say that we need to change our narratives, because we still repeat and repeat and repeat the myth that only the private sector is the innovator, but it is not. The innovation or an originator of compounds is always a complementary activity. And therefore, we need to speak differently about our own work. And with this, I hand over.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.